Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel, and in this one we have Kindred back to PTA because we are no longer going such things as Kraken Slayer and then whatever the hell else we want to build. They have removed Kraken Slayer effectively, and so we are going PTA, Trinity Force, Wits End, Black Cleaver. There is no better 3-item spike win rate with high sample rate than this build. Yes, you can obviously still go for your Gale Force niches. Yes, you can still go full crit with Infinity Edge, and those do well at 3 items. You know why? Because the champion is strong. You know why? Because they got hotfixed last patch when they didn't need to be. And here we are. Buffed E unnecessarily, extra AD growth unnecessarily, which means we don't really need as much damage in itemization either, but that's really not the issue because Trinity Force does enough damage, and this build will then be flexed into Hurricane and Titanic Hydra at the end of it. The old Pioshik build that we covered on this very channel, and I've played in other content as well. So, what we're looking at here is a Kindred who's going to be doing the chosen items, as it were, but we're obviously going for that green pet, the Moss Stomper that gives us survivability, and obviously is really good against such things as Annie and Shaker. Obviously, with all-in comps like this, Moss Stomper is good on most junglers because you just want that added shield later on and obviously better sustain throughout. Shaker goes ahead and shows up in the mid lane here, 12 CS, with a red buff. Alright, most likely did his red side quadrant and will therefore be going to the blue side. This means as we watch him on the map traverse to that direction, we have here the Kindred finishing the blue with the most sacrilegious clear I think I've seen in months. The 4 camp in a clear classic, El Clasico. Absolutely disgusting. Bomb, 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 bomb. It takes you 4 camps to get level 3. If possible, you want to have a clear that gives you level 3 after 3 camps. Now, the issue with a 5 camper is, when you go this direction, is that you effectively do this 4 camp in a clear, right? You kind of go red, raptors, wolves, grub, and now you hit level 3, so it takes you 4 camps as well. But if you go from, say, blue, grump, wolves, raptors, red, you get level 3 after the blue side. And we're not really doing 5 campers anymore as it is, in general. So what I would suggest is if you're going to do some sort of 5 camp variant, even on Kindred, the red, Krugs, choose raptors or choose wolves. Usually raptors is great because 1, it gives you 3. Well, wolves would give you 3 as well, but it gives you 3. It gives you the ability to flex up if you want to beat tempo for the enemy jungler going this direction. Allows you to go mid lane, cut through, invade if they're going down, right? Aggressive jungling, and then translate that to a nice fisting on the bottom lane. Also, I pressed the wrong button. 1 second. Okay, we're back after that camera malfunction. Thresh is going to go ahead and hit the flash flay. Absolutely. El Classic as well. We got to stop saying that, I think, this video. QW, make sure you maximize that Q cooldown, and we don't really need E in this particular case. We'll just do a little Q hop and snack they kill on the Draven. So, you're seeing the idea is quite simple, right? Try and shake a repeat ganks here. We'll track and say 25 CS, stole a ward, or a minion as it were. Not a ward. Well, technically there are walking wards, if you think about it. And not the Nico walking wards, literal walking wards. And he'll go back and do this. Most likely when you see someone do a red side quadrant, what am I witnessing here? Oh, dear me. Oh, dear me. Deep vision. Okay, good. I thought we were going to be looking for Raptor counter jungling. Because, Master Tier can sometimes have residual diamond tendencies such as not tracking correctly. But yes, as soon as you see someone go red, Krugs, Raptors into a gank up to the top side and choke back down with 8 CS, they typically didn't do the wolf camp, usually blue grum. So we know that the Shaker will fall back to that wolf camp. It could easily now sequence down to the Raptors into the Krugs. So if the Kindred was being smart, could basically say, yes, let me go ahead and ward this if that's the case. Now, alternatively, the Shaco might see the Kindred in some capacity and could obviously go vertical counter jungling, but the Kindred decides, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back down to the bottom side. Very reminiscent of the Rek'Sai game yesterday as we get hit here, right? So this is very, very good. We know we just got hit by someone hitting the Scry's Bloom, and it most likely wasn't the Shaker. The Shaker now shows up with buy in his inventory as we press tab, so we know that the guy went back to base after doing said wolf camp. And this mark is unfortunately denied, so we'll say, no, we're not going to fight over it and die over it. You can just kind of shadow the scenario, but ideally we just leave him busy with that distraction. We go repeat gank this bottom lane here. We have flash available as necessary. We'll just do that flash W there. We have hit the E onto the sun, and we'll get the pseudo execute going. So that's 4 kills bottom lane. So what we're learning here is, can you full clear Kindred? Yeah. Can you 5 camp? Yeah. What's the goal? Path bot lane and then repeat path bot lane. I love this from the Rek'Sai as well. This is the new tendency we're seeing in this meta. Control camps to some degree. Have good second rotational sequencing so that the camps will spawn above level 1. But instead of, say, pathing down, ganking bot, going back to base, and then doing the same thing, We go back down to the bottom side, take whatever can we left on the map in order to gank bot lane in the first case, and then of course we can take a nice early dragon, pull back to this quadrant, and now we can flex top side for Herald control and maybe show our top laner 1 ounce of love. Because you know they don't get any. Definitely not from Riot. Definitely not from anyone else with the mouth that complain about things. So the set is level 6, goes into the minion wave to try and kill a Pantheon, which is an interesting thing to try. Gee, that is not spear shot, I'll tell you that much. So finish off the Grom, go back to base now. Pathbound Axe, nice spike. I do miss the new Quiver spikes. I've always been more of a crit focused Kindred because historically we have the crit builds, we had the on-hit builds, and we had, you know, lethality builds. And of course we had pseudo bruiser builds as well, although this could have been predicted also. This was pretty damn obvious from the Pantheon's perspective. It's a Shaco, you gotta respect it. I know you want a lane, but as a Kindred, as any jungler against a Shaco, let it happen, know you are stronger. So now we want to prioritize at level 6, we are a bit compromising experience. And this build, what it does allow, okay, with the Sheen being active now as well, it does allow us to become a lot more absorby of damage, a bit more tanky, as it were. And I know we're seeing some Spirit Visage and some tank itemization. I don't like that. If you want to be a Kindred who still does damage, has a bit of wave clear, has some AoE in fights, has the ability to still be Kindred for the snowball, then this build grants that because you have the Trinity Force, the buff Trinity Force, with a lot of that HP early and decent components. Not quite the new Quiver, but decent components. And then we go into the Wit's End, which is the classic, you know, best in slot second item basically for on hit. And then the Black Cleaver, which is again also best in slot for most people, although to be the second slot because the stickiness, armor shred, HP, raw AD. It's a loaded item, absolutely loaded item. So, you know, imagine a Kindred with that amount of HP, that much magic resist, and then going into things like a Titanic Hydra to give even more added AD scaling to your kit, plus the Runan's Hurricane for wave clear AoE. And if you played on-hit Kindred, way back in the day, we always loved ourselves a Runan's Hurricane. We would go things like Warrior, Ghostblade, Sterex, and a Hurricane, and you just get free pentakills. Now, is there a school of thought where you could go Lethality Kindred? Yes, but I think this build, because of everything I just said, provides so damn much. We have the 6 here, we're just gonna smite that away from him on the corner, and now the Sun is like, I better run from the Kindred who doesn't have flash at this point, but we do have R. We're gonna go for this one, yeah, easy. We're gonna try and focus the Sona if we can, but you don't wanna overcommit, right? If the Sona hangs back, don't jump into 4 people and get killed. That's what ADCs typically do. Hit the thing in front of you if she mispositions, but obviously we also see the Annie rotating down. So, Sona not yet level 5. Of course, she should be reasonably... Oh, she's actually nowhere near close. In theory, you would expect her to be close-ish. So unless you know for certain what's been going on in the bottom lane, maybe be wary of that level 6 spike, because you don't want to get caught with the Sona. But I think here the most important thing is try and pull the trigger. Nice ult. Nice ult. We have the Q available as well. Lateral Q so we don't go back into terror range. Caitlyn, come on! Caitlyn! Who said you can't tower dive in this new reality? You can, you just have to be smart about it, and most Kindreds there would have queued in again to get the Sona. Kindred queued laterally, right? To stay out of turret aggro range, and also in case the Sona stepped up, it gave us the ability to maybe hit some dancing arrows, but didn't happen, so Caitlyn moved in and got the kill. Perfect, again. Now we have Trinity Force. Let's track this sucker as we get to the end of the game. 0 damage currently, obviously, but it gives us movement speed, 80, haste. All things we love as a snowballing jungler. And obviously, it's weird that this item was fine, and the buffs that they gave it weren't magically high, right? It's not like it was like, wow, they're buffing Trinity Force. No, everyone was going, wow, they buffed Ghostblade. That's all we were talking about. But Trinity Force was buffed enough to take it over the edge, and of course, Divine Soundra was drawn down, so that's why we're having this kind of hype in general over this itemization. But while we do lose the Herald, obviously, from this play, this is not where I'm a huge fan of the pathing in general for most MMRs. High Elo Korea, High Elo US, yeah, sure. But, nah. Yeah, in Korea, this is... US still prefer the Herald a little bit. I would prefer to see a bit more... Hey, yes, I'm snowballing and spam ganking this... Woo, okay. That was a bit of an exceptional moment. This is so powerful for taking this Kindred build and ending. So if you can weave in this bot lane spam ganking, much like we've had in the last 2 videos on this meta, go ahead and try and get one little gank top lane if you can. Try and get this if you can. Push the enemy jungler out. Mid lane as necessary, right? Just try to even the map out a little bit, because in your diamond, platinum, gold, silver, bronze, iron games, they're not going to hold on, right? They will and Hyela hold on a little bit, and you just want to keep that pressure. And of course, when you're Kindred this fed, you'll see what the Trinity Force can do. It's really a lot of damage. The bottom lane will finish that up, and we'll see what this Trinity Force can do here. Obviously, we have probably, we've got in here that's most likely the clone. Yeah, it's the clone, and he's going to flash in and ult us, but they're quite low now, and we can just do the smite Q Gaming, get ourselves a kill there. We're going to flash out here. Nika's going to try save us. It doesn't do anything. The clone snipes us, and obviously when your bottom lane is taking the bottom lane turret, and their blue team is losing, they don't have anything to lose rotating, right? Set moves down as well. They'll be coming out of base from death. They'll be rotating for bot lane quicker, so try not to overcommit in those scenarios, but that's fine. The damage we did there was 356 in one level 6 fight. We're going to see a lot of that damage later on. Really, really nice bonus proc. And obviously the stacking is critical. Should I leave that up for you? Can you guys see that? You know, you gain that attack damage for 5 seconds, right? And that stacks up to 5 times, which means you're getting 60 bonus AD on all your spell procs, which is huge for when you use your E, right? It's the same thing as Rek'Sai and Conqueror and Vi and Conqueror and things like this. When you've got a high AD ratio on a critical spell that you don't necessarily want to use up front, but you want to use at the end, less Vi or Rek'Sai, you just stack your Conqueror, right? And then you've got this juiced AD ratio for your R, which is just like, especially as Rek'Sai. Kindred, same kind of thing here with the stacking of the Trinity Force. Likewise, you also have the Spellblade proc, which is like, what, 160 bonus damage as well, so huge itemization damage differential at this particular stage. And again, if you prefer New Quiver builds and going Storm Razor into that Gale Force or rushing Gale Force, I mean, you can rush Gale Force mathematically, but you know what I mean? I don't like the shift from Noon Quiver being taken out of Mythics. I feel as if that was unnecessary for junglers who like to use that item to wave clear early first, especially if you want a strong itemization spike with your Mythic first. And now they're trying to get away from making Mythics first only, which is, of course, great. But because there's such better items, it makes sense to kind of use that power spike, especially if you're snowballing. And because we don't have Noon Quiver on those items now, it affects our clearing just a little bit, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I sit on this. It's also why Kindred and Velvet struggled initially with those changes. So, yes, you can go Storm Razor into the Gale Force or into the Infinity Edge as you like. We're going to snack the plant, queue up the wall. There we go. Ciao, ciao, ciao. We have 3 plates on the top wave. 1 minute left for this place to exist. Shaco activates this sucker here to give some plates back to Draven. And now we're like, hey, let's dive this guy. Here we go. Let's see what we do. Remember the minion change as well. We'll take a little bit aggro because we're ranged. We'll get that E-proc here. Woof. Woof. Boom. Nicely done. Beautifully done, actually. So when you're ranged, please take the aggro because you can escape quickly. If I take the aggro as a melee, right, I have to physically walk in, attack him, take aggro, and then walk out. Whereas if I'm ranged, I can go in, keep on the outskirts, and disengage very, very quickly. And then your guy can finish. So try and think about that when you go for dives as well. I love the skin concept, but there's just too much branding, right? On the skin. You know, it's fine on videos and things where it's obvious where it's a business, but, and yes, this is a business as well, but it's a skin that you kind of don't want to always have DRX popping up everywhere. It's okay on the back animation or 1 or 2 things here, but all the spells, maybe a bit too invasive on a skin that makes it less neutral. I don't know. It's still great. Like, I'm not complaining. It's a lovely skin, and I'll be using it as well. No stress. Better than Super Galaxy, tell you that much. Shadow Flame was pretty. Is it Shadow Flame? My brain's not working today. The skin, the Lord skin. That was always very good as well. Anyway, we are now building into the Black Cleaver second. Yeah, you can do that. I mean, Witsend second is pretty classic, but here we've got the Annie. We do have the AP Shaco, so I mean, it is justified in this particular case. There's nothing wrong with going Black Cleaver second. I just don't like the feel of not having this much attack speed in the kit. I've always been a hybrid. You've got those Kindreds who love the slower attacks, harder hitting crit builds, which of course I loved as well. But then you've got the Kindreds who loved the sort of attack speed on hit stuff, which doesn't really exist anymore. And look, the Galils, here we go. Just do a little bit of a Q, smash, smite, and you saw the damage there. This is where crit used to be lovely because you could just sit in the bush and do exactly that, right? All you do is you do your QW, you hit the smite, a couple autos, your E is procced right up front, and by the time you get the third E proc, they're wiped already. It's so much damage. But this does a lot. I mean, people thinking, okay, well, if you go Trinity Force, do you have damage? Do we have an issue killing the Draven? No. That's quite nonchalant, to be honest with you. 824 already. Let's keep that in mind. pretty good for a 50-minute game. But now our team are rotating and moving, but you see they're not really able to push in. So the enemy team can always come back into this game because it's a Sona scaling, because it's an Annie, because it's a set. You know, if we step out of position one time, we're doomed. So the Kindred makes the assassination, the wave will push in a little bit, takes a quadrant, now cuts into shadow. You see this cut in here, loop, cut in shadow, go for the objective. Now after this, we want to push into the jungle here if possible, get more kills, shove top wave. You don't want to finish this and loop back around here, then go back to base while your team is trying to do stuff on the map. So here we'll go ahead and do this Rifty Herald. And again, as I said, as I was talking about, luckily it was fine. I just don't like, it's a bit too slow for me. I like to have that hard hitting auto attack with a decent amount of attack speed. Decent amount. But rest in peace, Blood Razor and Devourer. Those were good items. Now, as I say that, why did the Kindred go back to the Quadrant after doing the Herald? Because Nico went back to base, and these two shouldn't be here. This is their fault. The Kindred says, look, Pantheon's dead, right? Nico's out of here, went to the bottom lane. We can push this for sure. We can push this for sure. Yes, but they will collapse on us because they now have numbers advantage. End of story. So what the Kindred says is, I'll just do this Quadrant reset. Why? Because the Dragon's the next thing we want to fight for. So what the bottom lane should do is shove this, cut up, shove this, and then base. But they're never going to do that because they're bottom lane. That's what you would do if you were in that situation. Now, obviously, they're on the Dragon, so we're like, okay, can we maybe get some killings here? We know Annie has no flash R. Well, the Timbers is available, but she has no flash, fortunately. And here we go. I mean, you can coin flip this, but I wouldn't. I would just do Grump, honestly. I would do Grump here, wait for the Pantheon to show up, and then maybe Flexing to try and do something. Obviously, the set's going to go, and here we're going to flash out. That was nicely done. That was a beautiful flash to get away from the Sona R. We got set ulted into a Sona R, and we still flashed over the wall with it. You can always flash Q super fast. We activate a beautiful ultimate there to keep our team alive, and the set will die as well. Shaco's the only one that escapes because he's Shaco, but that's where that Black Cleaver just did work. That's where that Moss Stomper just did work, and obviously the Merc Treads as well. So we're definitely a bit more bruiser, but we do a lot of damage. Now, 1,133. This one already 22, but I am a bit more of the Wits End second. I would recommend that most times, yeah? The HP is great, and they can't kill us with the HP, but obviously that's the kind of thing we want to track. So, ignore that. Totally knew which one was real. It's the mark. The Nico isn't really doing too much this game, you know, sexy-wise in terms of gameplay, but great support, some decent ults, 107 will take it. And again, people are going to look at this and be like, but their bottom lane are good. The Kindred ganked it 1,200 times. Tracked and denied the Shaco. Pushed in, cut out the top quadrant so that they can impact the bottom lane. And that's what you got to play like when you're playing Kindred. You've got to be aggressive, ganking, invading, moving the map forward perpetually. If you do not, don't play Kindred. Just don't. They're not a scaling jungler. Scaling isn't snowballing. However, a scaling jungler can snowball, but sometimes the snowball jungler cannot scale. Rex is a snowballing jungler, but doesn't necessarily scale. Karthus is a scaling jungler who, when he snowballs, he brings the late game into the early game, as you would have seen. Nice flash hook there to make up for the one that we saw earlier. Kindred will get the kill with Ultra Instinct Gaming. We'll shove this Herald down here, which is why the second Herald is so important. I always hated the meme that it was not. Second Herald is absolutely beautiful for ending games quickly and thrusting into their base. But again, just to show this here, the Nico's here, the set's going to collapse down. So what happens is we activate this, we have our ult up as well. The set's actually out of the ult, he gets flayed back into the ult, which means he will survive. He activates a W8 true damage, but he still dies. Now, of course, we have cannon minions and other minions rotating in here. The Shaco's going to die as well. We're going to flash in, get the stun there onto the Annie by the Pantheon. We'll get that kill as well. Nika's going to go and knock up, flash up the Draven, try and get that kill, but Sona hits the R on 3 people. And we get Lantern out. We're still attacking this turret is the Caitlyn. And they will not be able to end because the damage is really coming out. We just leave now. We can leave now. No more shutdowns. Just leave. Oh my goodness. You couldn't make this up. Sona is finally coming online. But of course, be the one who escapes. Be the one who survives. Always. In pocket here. Okay, that's a little bit of a lazy base. I mean, you might not have known. I think it's always good to scan anyway. Like, we have the scanner available. Just use it to track whether or not we're, you know, being collapsed upon, or they're going to see us go back to base here. We can beat them here. We can get a kill here. Oh, yeah. See that? W, smite, Q's backwards, hits the E proc, but we Q backwards just to create a bit of space here so Draven can't Axe Fist does. And we'll take this one. And of course, the Sono was already detaching, so that's great for us. Easy kill. Now, what do we need? We have here 2.9, so yeah, let's go ahead and get these camps as well. Juicy Fresh, finish off that quadrant. Now we can go back to base, get that Wind's End completed straight up. There we go. That's exactly what you wanted. It's a great time to stay out like that. Even though your team's shoving, there is a risk, but the 3-item spike is the goal. That's why I always talk at 3-item spikes when you're doing your calculations. The 4th and the 5th item don't really matter as much. If you happen to go that late, cool. But those should be finishes, adaptable items. Things of that nature. The 3-item spike is the one that allows you to end the game at this moment. That's why that sort of mathematical statistic is way more valuable. And he goes all in, hits that bear. We're just going to push this down. We can watch this. We look at this. We go, okay, our team is bad. We just, yeah, there we go. There we go. We'll snack that as well. Little easy rotation. We'll do the cleanup here. Shaker, hello. That's your clone, I think. So I'm probably just going to keep backing away so I don't get hupsed by your Leandries-based or unbased gameplay. Very nicely done. Now, this is why I show this build, because it's the best build, but it also does 2.7 thousand damage on the Trinity Force. As always, every single video on this channel, match history is linked in the description below. You can go ahead and have a look for yourself and look at those replays as well. Wits End already 751 and health curve 1600. So, health, DPS, AD ratios, kiteability, sustainability, it's the total package for Kindred. Best build to go. You can go crit, you can do other stuff, but this is the one I recommend. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Don't forget the bootcamp coming end of June, as well as courses available on Virkayu.gg. And as always, I will see you all in the next one. And with the season being split into 2 parts, it is time for another bootcamp. Myself and Virkayu.gg will be joining forces with Gosu Academy once more, as well as Coach Kybit, to ensure that you have all the fundamentals you need that will outlast any meta, and maybe even time itself. You'll see the topics on your screen now, a completely revamped curriculum specially to build on the previous bootcamps, and along with tickets for this bootcamp, we will give you all of the previous VODs to the previous bootcamp so that you can have all the fundamentals you need as a total package. And if you can't make the lessons, don't worry about it. It's a 2-week bootcamp. If you have work, school, there will be VODs available online for you as well. Teaching materials, exercises, classes, lectures, coaching, as well as a free course giveaway from my own personal site, Virkayu.gg. You'll be entered into a raffle and I will be giving away 10 of those courses. Click the link below to join the Gosu Academy Bootcamp on June 26th with myself and Coach Kybit, and I look forward to seeing all of you there.